If you don't get into the militaristic side of civ games, I'm here to help you. I was like you. Maybe you find the whole fighting thing unappealing. After all, the civ games have evolved from their more combative beginnings to include multiple alternatives to raw conquest. So, you can indulge in the subtler methods of science, culture, and economics while using influence to steer the game in the direction you prefer. Or maybe the militarist legacy paths and victory conditions of Civ 7 are all fine, but there's nothing really mind-blowing about accumulating settlements at the expense of others. Or maybe you find making unit after unit and schlepping them across the map is a pain. Civ 7 has answered this complaint by having commanders who you can pack with units and cut down on the logistics problems. But after all that, maybe you still find it hard to get motivated with the right doses of ferocity and cunning to take out that city someone built way too close to you. It's just not your play style. I hear you. That was true for me too, and still is mostly. Most days, I'm just too shy to go meet my neighbors and pillage all their hard work. I'm here to tell you that this shyness can be overcome with several leaders and civs from Civ 7. The key is distraction. At least, that's how it works for me. The more interesting or fun or unusual something is, the less I have to think about the fact that I'm laying waste to settlements across the land. Now, I'm not going to rank these guys from least fun to most fun, and there are other civs and leaders who are fun, but I'm focusing here on the military types only. Although this first one is not my favorite, I can see how the mechanics of Genghis Khan would put a smile on a lot of faces. So he gets increased combat strength to cavalry units, combat strength is increased, blah, 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 blah. Army commanders have full movement. Once per age, army commanders can use the Convert Independence action to permanently convert adjacent independent powers' military units to your control. Yeah, right there at the end. That to me is the juicy bit. There's lots of good stuff in there, but the Convert Independence action is particularly cute, if you like. If he was able to do it more often, he would be too strong, but I'd rank him higher for the fun factor. Someone who's a little more fun, I think, and whose depictions all show him looking a little tipsy is Charlemagne. He's a poster boy for happiness among the leaders. There are others who use happiness for leverage. Let's see how his powers look up close. Military and science buildings receive a happiness adjacency for quarters, gain a set number of free cavalry units, once unlocked when entering a celebration. That's the key right there. And then increased combat strength for cavalry units during that, blah, 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 blah. But when he celebrates, he unlocks cavalry units, too. So you'll see Charlemagne and the Moria in the background in the playthrough for this video, by the way. It might be hard to see the fun part here right away, but he gets those 2 cavalry units every time there's a celebration, which means you really want to be happy as much as possible. Ironically, we are happy we go to war. Ashoka has some of that element going on, the Conqueror. So that could be horsebound, elephants, or tanks every time there's a celebration. What this means in practice is that Charlemagne's best bet is to build altars, villas, and other happiness buildings as often as possible. Turn your settlements into happiness machines, and you become a military machine. At least partly, because cavalry tends to be the most powerful unit type right now. So the planning to get the best adjacencies and maximize the smiles and help you take more settlements keeps your constructive brain working while your destructive brain does its job. So it's kind of like you're a civil engineer of happiness. And the better you do at that job, the better job your military does. Nice meshing of motivations here. But if he's not your cup of mead, we've got other alternatives. Maybe you like cavalry all right, but you hate the tedium of taking an opponent's walls piece by piece. Then have I got a civilization for you. The Bulgarians aren't very good with walls either. They prefer to hang outside the settlements they're attacking and just pillage the bejeebers out of them. If you're shy about pillaging, you won't be shy about yields of healing, science, culture, and so on that you get just by setting stuff on fire. The setting on fire thing can become addictive, in fact. Conquest is all well and good, and these guys can do it, but the fire is so pretty. If you like pillaging more scenic areas, you could go with Buganda, who tends to like lakeside settlements, but they're not a militaristic civ per se. Or maybe you just want to head out into the open seas to get away from it all. With enough money, you could forget about wars and conquering. Well, I'd go with Edward Teach or Blackbeard. I mean, what does he have? All naval units gain the pirate ability, allowing them to cross borders of other civilizations. Cool. Plunder trade routes from non-allied civilizations and attack naval units of non-allied civilizations without declaring war. So he gets away with a lot of stuff. But this is the kicker. Defeat any naval units with your own naval units. It provides gold equal to a set percentage of its combat strength and captures that unit. You make your own pirates. You make your navy as you go along. What Teach offers then is freedom, on the one hand, which is kind of fun, crossing borders with impunity. But what's even more fun is that all your ships become pirate ships. And when they beat other ships in combat, those ships become pirate ships. And they told two friends, and so on, and so on. Old commercial. Most of you won't get that one. After a while, you'll be so interested in growing the biggest fleet possible, you might almost forget about taking over other cities. Almost. Obviously, Teach specializes in coastal operations, so you'll have to get your sea legs in order. Maybe pair them with the Republic of Pirates, I don't know, who bring their own brand of fun. And you'll have to be ready to be annoying. Which brings me to Prussia. When I first encountered this civ, I thought it was purely a button-down militaristic civ with no smiles at all. Like Persia, for example. But that is not the case. The fun part of their build is in their main ability, which I hadn't noticed at first. Units receive increased combat strength for every unfriendly or worse relationship with other civilizations. Now, bad relationships don't just happen, you have to make them. So the plan here would be to pair the Prussians with a truly annoying leader like Machiavelli, Harriet Tubman, or Napoleon Emperor, make everybody hate you, and grow a stronger military to take more cities and settlements, and make everyone hate you even more. Just like people draw more strength from love, Prussia draws more from hate. Even annoyance is a bit of a turn-on for them. Sure, they've got other strengths, but this is the one that gives them true flavor and makes them both challenging and fun to play. Meanwhile, someone like Napoleon Revolutionary can use annoyance in a slightly more direct way. If he manages to get someone to actually attack him, he receives a commander packed with 4 units, which could include units he is not even able to build yet, or as I like to call it, his armies of the future. This can, especially in antiquity, turn the tide of an early battle and get him an easy, freshly conquered settlement. And he also receives culture for every unit his units destroy, the amount being dependent on the power of the expired unit. That in itself is kind of fun, killing for culture. And which reminds me of Lakshmi Bai. Her kills get you a certain amount of influence, again, depending on the power of the unit you kill. That alone is kind of fun, but her other ability is the kicker. It's increased influence towards initiating the city-state incorporate action. Yeah, but that's not it. Wait. Gain control of all the city-state's units when performing the incorporate action. Do you get it now? The beauty of this ability is that she also inherits the units, something a normal incorporation does not do. So you could incorporate a city-state behind your enemy's lines, for example. Use those units to harass them from there while you attack them from the front. And she's not the only diplomatic militaristic leader with a trick or two. With Saida al-Hurra, the new DLC leader coming in December, and kind of the reason I thought of this whole video, I had it in mind, but she was kind of the last straw. You have someone who uses their influence like Lakshmi Bai to leverage boats in this case. Just go through her power here. She receives a naval unit every time she completes an espionage action. Naval units stationed on a district provide increased culture and increased influence per age. And then there's no influence penalty for your espionage being revealed, and opponents can't use counter-spy. Lots of great stuff packed in here. But that whole creating a navy by doing espionage, that's pretty cool. And then the fact that you get resource bonuses like increased culture and influence from naval units stationed on a district. Wow. Now, having a coastal district, you're not going to have a lot of those. But that little extra influence and culture is great. The fun part is creating that navy through espionage, though, I think. A lot of these leaders encourage you to do the wrong things as often as possible, and the civs as well. So I'm encouraging it too, I guess. Sorry about that. Then we have the civ that maybe does the wrong things for the right reasons, the Assyrians. The beauty of their militaristic ambitions is that they make the world a better place, or at least a well-read and scientific place. They can't earn codices by unlocking them from their trees. They have to conquer settlements to receive them, which is at least a little fun as a mechanic. If you want a science victory with them, you'll have to walk through blood and screams to get there. And that does make the military side of things worthwhile. All this is just to say that if you, like me, need some encouragement to try out the military route in Civ 7, I would go with one of these civs or leaders, since they offer great distractions from the often tedious business at hand. Now, I know there are many players who do not see the military side of things this way at all, and I want to thank you for your patience while I've tried to hype what I consider the most inventive military options available in the game, and I think obviously you would enjoy them too. If you think I've missed something obvious, though, or maybe not so obvious options, let me and everyone else know in the comments. And if you like what you've seen or heard here, then please leave a like or a subscribe down below. For now, this has been Civilized Raccoon, and I'll see you next time.